Hey guys, Eric with Blue Line Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Your time's important to me as always. And what we're going to do in today's time is we're going to check out a couple new baits from Crack. And it's going to be these two baits. These crazy looking tentacle baits right here. This is the Cub Bomb and this is the 95 Grub. These baits are hot right now as far as everybody's talking about them, trying them out and using them. And I'll be the first one to say that I am a sucker for new tackle. I think it's fun to try out new tackle, new techniques. And we're going to check these baits out and see what you guys think. So the first one we'll check out from Crack here is the 95 Grub. So this bait is a stick style bait or turd style bait, whatever you want to call it, but it's kind of the do nothing, but you can see all these different appendages, all these silicone tentacles coming off of it. It even has a little stubby tail here. And this is a bait that I think would particularly lend itself to being fish weedless, like I have it rigged up here. This is a 5/0 extra wide gap worm hook on it. There's a lot of different ways and applications you could use it in, but I think throwing this thing into heavy cover like brush, laydowns, things like that. I mean, you could fish it along weed lines. There's a ton of different ways you could use it, but I'm really interested in throwing it up in some nasty stuff where I normally would throw, say, a jig or maybe even a spinner bait or something like that. Throwing this up there and letting that work through it. This bait is 3.8 inches long, so a little over 3.5 inches long. I weighed it on some digital scales that I've got here, and it weighs in at just a hair over a 1/2 ounce. So it's a heavy bait for being, you know, just a soft plastic bait. It's salt impregnated and scent impregnated, but one thing about it too, like I say, since it is salt impregnated, you can tell it's heavily inladen with salt because it's got the weight to it. It's very dense. The material on it feels like the same stuff that a Senko is made out of. Now, if you guys have used this particular bait, tried it out, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of it. Like I say, I'm sure there's a ton of different ways you could rig it, but I am definitely going to try it rigged up like I've got it right here and throw it weightless. And there may be a few other ways too, but I think this thing is just something that the fish haven't seen. Going to give it a shot. So before we move on to start talking about the cue ball, I was going to also say another way you could rig this up is just with a straight shank hook. This is a 4/0 hook that I've got right here, just rigged straight through the bait. So if you're going to fish this in more open water applications where you're not worried about getting hung up or snagged, that's the way you might want to rig it too, because like you can see on this one here that I've got rigged up with that big 5/0 hook, there's not, if you look right here, there's not a lot of gap when that fish clamps down on it there. It's a lot of plastic to get through and in the way to get that hook set. So if you can rig it maybe open like this with an open exposed hook, you're probably going to get a better hookup ratio. I don't know. Like I say, I haven't fished this bait yet, but if you guys have, let me know down in the comments. Once again, I'd be curious to hear any results. But instead of trying to get through all that plastic, if you can get away with it, another way you could rig it up is with this straight shank open exposed hook. So guys, the next one we'll talk about here is the Crack Cub Bomb. This is the 1.2. They also make, this is the 1.2. They also make a 1, so a 1.2 inch and a 1 inch. These are hard to get right now. I do a lot of my shopping on Discount Tackle, and I can tell you they're sold out of them right now. I don't know about Tackle Warehouse, but they are hot. I think a lot of it has to do with these tentacle style baits or these dice style baits. Is the win a few weeks ago down in Lake Smith in Alabama on the Elite Series by Taco Ito. I think when he mentioned that as one of his key baits, a dice bait is a winning bait. I think it's kind of propelled these even more into the stratosphere as how popular they are right now. I know they're big at ICAST as far as some different styles coming out and such, but we'll get back to this one here. This is the Cub Bomb. I've not personally fished this bait. We're going to talk about a couple different ways to rig it up. I can tell you I like the way it looks. I did some tank test with it. Man, it doesn't look like anything else that I don't think a fish would feed on as far as bass go, except maybe they think it's a bluegill that's in distress, maybe a crawdad. I don't know, but I do know they don't feed on jellyfish for the most part. So that's what it resembles, but it does have this slow pulsating look as it goes through the water. But we'll try and get into a couple different ways you can rig this bad boy up. Okay, so several different ways you could rig this bait up. I just have a #1 drop shot hook in it right there. You can see that. I don't know if that'll focus in very well or not, but just a simple #1 drop shot. And this will be to throw it weightless, just like you would a Senko, you know, and let it just kind of just pull it through the water column, let it die, pull it through, let it die, and it's going to have that, I think that fluttering down and that real slow undulation as it falls in the water column. I think it would be great for that, especially fishing around weed lines, grass beds, things like that. You could also use this same setup on a drop shot, and you could also do a split shot rig. And a split shot rig, you're basically going to use the same hook and size, have your whatever size split shot you want out in front of it, whatever distance you want as far as a leader per se goes, and you can fish it like that. But if you guys have ways that you have fished this particular bait or a dice bait, let me know down in the comments, because this is new to me, but I'll be the first person to say that, man, I am a sucker for new tackle. I love trying out new baits, new lures, new techniques, because I think it's one of the things that makes our sport, fishing, and especially bass fishing, really interesting, is all these new techniques that come out all the time. And I know a lot of them are just money makers, or some of the lures that come out are what I call Hollywood lures. They're Hollywood lures because they sit here in your tackle box and they don't serve any practical purpose, kind of like a Hollywood actor. So I've got a ton of Hollywood lures in all my tackle boxes, no doubt about that. This may or may not end up being one of them. Is this a gimmick? I don't know. I know there's a lot of guys catching fish on them right now. I know I'm excited to get out there and try these style of baits. But, as far as the rigging goes, if you guys have other ways you've rigged this up and it's been successful, please let me know, because I love learning from you guys as much as I can too. That's what makes doing this channel, as a creator, fun for me as well, because I get to learn along with you guys. So also, guys, on this Cub Bomb, there's a little tail end right here. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, little tail right here, and then a flat side. I don't know if that's going to matter as far as rigging it up. I don't think it does. I mean, it's a ball, it's a little sphere. I don't think it's going to matter as far as what section or side of the ball you're on to rig it up. Just like this one here has a little tail end on it. It does have some movement along with the other tentacles and stuff as far as the 95 Grub goes. So guys, that is a quick look at these crazy looking tentacle baits here. Once again, let me know what you guys think about them. If you have experience with them, no experience, if you want to try them, if you think they're just a complete waste of time, money, and effort. I'm just curious to know what you guys think about them, like I say, because I am a sucker when it comes to new tackle. I love trying out new baits, new techniques, and I'm always interested in the next latest and greatest thing coming down the pipe. Don't get me wrong, there's all those classic techniques and lures that always have and will catch fish. Going to continue to use those too, but man, I love trying out the new stuff like this. I'll leave some links down in the description for you guys on these products and maybe some other Japanese type tentacle baits and others that are so popular right now. So if you want to check those out, you can do that. And I'll also leave a link down there for some of the other videos that I've got on the channel as well that you might want to check out. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. And remember, until that next video, get out there and fish.